Invasion is the story of these aliens that have traveled across the galaxy to take over planet Earth and destroy anyone and anything that gets in their way. And against all odds, with their advanced technology and everything, the Earthlings managed to rise up and send them packing. But the difference is that these aren't humans, these Earthlings I'm talking about. They're a couple of little white bunnies, and you happen to be one of them. The story for Invasion came after I watched the original War of the Worlds movie. And here these advanced aliens come down with all this firepower and this incredible technology, unstoppable force, and yet they're not smart enough to realize that Earth's biomass can destroy them. So I thought, well, let's take that to the extreme. Not only have the aliens not thought of the little organisms that might kill them that are microscopic, they also haven't thought of the cute little white bunnies that also can be quite a threat. To do the voice casting, I just did the same thing that I always do at DreamWorks when I was working on feature films. You get a list of names and then you listen to their disembodied voice because you don't want to be affected by how attractive they are or their body language. And Ethan Hawke was kind of on the top of the list just from listening. The opening line of dialogue is taken from H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, the first paragraph. So I thought, just to show him that context and maybe add a little credibility, I printed out the first page of War of the Worlds, at the top, H.G. Wells, 1892 or whatever the date was. And then I had the little section of dialogue highlighted that he was going to say. And as soon as he saw it, he just got this big grin on his face and he said, you could not have found a more enthusiastic narrator for Invasion. And I was like, well, what are you talking about? And he said, I grew up right next to Grover's Corner, which is ground zero in War of the Worlds. That's where the aliens first land.
I've loved animation forever because something happens, I think, when people get older, where you start to conform to societal rules of fame, money, power, fortune. And something happens when you're watching an animated film that reminds you that it doesn't have to be the way it is, that there's so much more potential in the world and in yourself. Animation, the director takes you to these amazing worlds and makes you believe that they're so real that you think you could reach out and touch it. So we think animation and VR were made for each other. People often ask, is it a game? Is it a film? And it's neither one of them. We have aspects of film, which is a narrative part of it, but we also have aspects of games where you are inside of it, but we're not happy with just pure film because it doesn't take advantage of all the awesomeness of VR, but we don't want to go all the way to a game because when you're in a game, you don't necessarily empathize with the other characters as much because you're always thinking about yourself and what you need to do.
My experience has sort of been more about finding stuff that's universally appealing. Great stories, well told, hopefully, with characters that audiences can fall in love with. So at Baobab, what we're really focused on is storytelling in sort of the traditional sense. I mean, that's the kind of storytelling that I was doing in films. It's the stuff that's sort of part of what it means to be a human, that's evolved over hundreds of thousands of years.
VR is very different because you're doing it in 360, so you have to create a lot more of the environment than you necessarily would in a normal feature film.
So my job as a director is also kind of like the job of a magician. I have to inspire the audience to look where I want them to look, when I want them to look there, but it has to be their choice. We're developing systems right now, in fact we already have them, that allow multiple users to put on these headsets and then we all step in to our stage and then I can, as a director, I can point to things and highlight things and ask the modeler to make it 20% bigger or to move that rock over there. I really do think VR is going to be transformative the way that cinema was 130 years ago when it started.